The morning sun barely rises over the horizon when news flashes across the world. Chinese vessels and Philippine patrol boats face off once again at Scarborough Shoal. Helicopters circle overhead, and the water churns with the wake of Coast Guard ships. Cameras click as soldiers stand ready, eyes fixed on the line that divides the two nations. The air is thick with tension. One wrong move could change everything. On the shore, families gather around radios and televisions. They wait for updates, anxious about what the next hour might bring. The world's media rush to the scene, broadcasting every move, every wave, every shouted warning. For many, this shoal is just a small reef, but today, it is the center of global attention. Why is this happening? Scarborough Shoal is more than a patch of rocks in the sea. It is a symbol, a warning, and a question mark for the future of Asia. With the world watching, the stakes have never felt higher. The question now hangs in the air. Will this latest standoff lead to peace or pull the region into a deeper crisis? All eyes turn to the Philippines, not just in Asia, but around the globe. The country, made up of more than 7,000 islands, sits at the heart of the world's busiest shipping lanes. Every day, huge ships carrying oil, goods, and food pass close to its shores. If trouble starts here, it could stop trade everywhere. Big powers like the United States and China are both interested in what happens in the Philippines. The United States has long been a partner and ally of the Philippines. China, on the other hand, wants to expand its reach and control in the region. This makes the Philippines a key player in a larger game. People worry because any clash here could pull in other countries. Japan, Australia, and even countries from Europe have spoken about their concerns. They all depend on trade passing through these waters. The region feels tense because the Philippines is not just fighting for its own land and sea. It is caught in the middle of a bigger dispute, a true geopolitical chess game that could affect us all. Why does China care so much about the Philippines? There are many reasons. First, geography. The Philippines lies close to China's southern coast. If China controls these nearby seas, it can protect its own coastline and project power even further. Second, economy. The South China Sea, where the Philippines is located, is rich in fish, oil, and natural gas. These resources are valuable for any country. China has a huge population and needs more food and energy every year. Controlling these waters could feed millions and fuel China's factories. Third, power. China wants to show it is strong and can protect its interests. By having influence over the Philippines, China can push back against other powers, especially the United States. It is not just about rocks or reefs. It is about being seen as a leader in Asia. So China's interests are not simple. They mix together geography, security, trade, and the desire to be a top power in the region. The Philippines is like a giant gate for ships in Asia. Its islands stretch across the sea, forming natural pathways and blockades. If you control these islands, you control who enters or leaves the Pacific Ocean. This is why the world's navies watch these waters so closely. Almost 1/3 of global trade passes through the South China Sea. Oil from the Middle East flows to China, Japan, and South Korea. Phones, cars, and food travel in the other direction. If the sea lanes are blocked, the world's economy could suffer. Military strategy is also important. The United States keeps military bases in the Philippines. For China, keeping American forces away from its coast is a big goal. If China controlled the Philippines, it would be much harder for other countries to challenge its navy. This is why the Philippines' location is so important. Whoever influences the Philippines can shape the future of trade and security in Asia. The story of China and the Philippines goes back hundreds of years. Long before modern countries, Chinese traders sailed to the islands, bringing silk and porcelain. In return, they took home pearls and spices. Many Filipinos have Chinese ancestors, and the cultures have mixed over time. But, relations have not always been peaceful. In recent decades, disputes over islands and fishing grounds have grown. China began building artificial islands and placing military bases in the South China Sea. The Philippines, backed by international law, has pushed back against these claims. In 2016, an international court ruled in favor of the Philippines, saying China's claims had no legal basis. China, however, did not accept the decision. Since then, both sides have tried to balance talks with shows of force, leading to the tense standoffs we see today. This long, complicated history shapes how people in both countries see the conflict, and honestly, why it is so hard to solve. China does not only use ships and soldiers to gain influence, it uses soft power as well. This means, using business deals, building roads, and sharing culture to win friends and shape opinions. Chinese companies invest in building bridges, airports, and railways across the Philippines. Chinese tourists visit beaches and cities, and Chinese language courses are offered in schools. Movies, TV shows, and social media spread Chinese culture and ideas. Media also plays a part. News stories and online posts can shape how people think about the conflict. Sometimes, fake news and rumors make tensions worse. By using business and culture, China hopes to become a trusted partner, not just a neighbor with a big navy. But not everyone in the Philippines is happy about this. Some worry that too much Chinese influence could change their way of life or weaken their country's independence. For many Filipinos, the conflict is not just about maps or headlines. It affects their daily lives. Fishermen are often caught in the middle. They have fished these waters for generations, but now face patrol boats and blocked areas. Some lose their catch, and others risk arrest or danger at sea. Families worry about rising prices for food and fuel if trade is disrupted. Young people hear stories of tension and fear that their futures may be shaped by conflict, not peace. Local businesses sometimes struggle if tourists or trade slow down. Communities near the disputed areas live with uncertainty. Will the next day bring more trouble, or will leaders find a way to talk and solve problems? These are the questions that fill the lives of many ordinary people in the Philippines. This dispute is not just about nations, but about real people whose lives are shaped by every decision made at sea. No one knows what will happen next. Will the standoffs at sea lead to a bigger fight, or can leaders find a way to talk and share the sea's riches? Many hope for peace, but the risks are real. A single mistake could spark a conflict that draws in the world's biggest powers. Diplomats from many countries work hard to solve these problems. They talk about sharing resources, making rules, and keeping the sea open to all. Some experts believe that working together is the only way to avoid disaster. People across Asia and the world watch and hope. The decisions made today will shape the future for millions. War would bring pain and loss, but peace could mean growth and friendship for generations. The big question remains: can the Philippines and its neighbors find a future built on trust, not fear? This story is not just about islands or ships. It is about how countries live together in a crowded world. Every time a ship moves near Scarborough Shoal, the world holds its breath. Trade, jobs, and even peace depend on what happens here. By watching, reading, and asking questions, we all become part of the solution. Understanding these stories helps us see how connected we are. What happens in the Philippines affects food on our tables, the price of goods, and the safety of families everywhere. We should not look away. Instead, we should learn, discuss, and think about ways to build peace. The more we understand, the better we can support leaders who choose talks over threats. In the end, the hope is clear. If we stay informed and care about each other's stories, maybe peace is possible, not just for the Philippines and China, but for our whole world.